Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Did I notice the sun this morning? What is going on around here, huh? Okay, hi. Welcome to the service from the Unitarian Society of Northampton and Florence. My name is Jan Nettler. I'm the worship liaison. I'm on the worship committee. And I also have the honor of serving you as one of the members of the search team as we look for our new minister. If you're new or returning after a time away, we're glad to see you. Please feel free to fill out a blue welcome card. You'll find them in the pews. There's a link to the online version in the chat, and we'll put you on our email list, and you'll get emails for the rest of your life. But you'll find out about all the wonderful things that we do here. We strive to be a congregation that welcomes people of all ages, races, religious beliefs, backgrounds, sexual orientation, gender identities, and abilities. We belong to the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations, and we are guided and inspired by its values and principles. Our values and principles move us to remember that those of us in the Connecticut Valley live on unceded homeland of the Pecumtuck, Nonotuck, and Western Nipmuc peoples. We acknowledge our responsibility to confront the legacies of dispossession and systematic racism that are part of our collective history, and we affirm and celebrate the many legacies that inspire us. I'm going to repeat that because you can't just say those words, you got to really think about those words. We live on unceded homeland of the Pecumtuck, Nonotuck, and Western Nipmuc people. We acknowledge our responsibility to confront the legacies of dispossession and systematic racism that are part of our collective history. So think about what can I do about that, what can you do about that, and what can we do about that. We have drawing materials and other ways to occupy hands on the table in the back. Restrooms are downstairs. You can get to them by either of these doors. There's a stairway and there's also an elevator. Our restrooms are all gender once again. The building code has changed and we are once again able to offer restrooms that are inclusive to trans, non-binary people, as well as caregivers who might be helping someone like a baby of a different gender. We have one room with a lock on the door if you need single occupancy restroom. We're here to celebrate and to reflect and to support one another. It's good to be together. So I'd like to introduce you to our guest speaker. Her name is Heather Janulis, and I have some stuff to tell you about her. Please welcome her. She's on the Congregational Life staff, a member of the New England region of the UUA, Unitarian Universalist Association, and she's actually the primary contact for our congregation to the UUA. She served several UU congregations in the past 19 years as a minister. She shares her home with two spoiled pets. She can tell you what they are if she wants, I don't know. What are they anyway? A dog and a cat. She finds solace in walking outside by water. She has a deep appreciation for the absurd in life, which is always available in great abundance. So Heather Janulis, if you were here last Sunday, who was here last Sunday? Anybody? A few of you. We had the meditation. The meditation last Sunday were words that were written by Heather. And if you were here for the 200th anniversary celebration, not too long ago in early May, she was one of the people who was up here speaking. Okay, so I guess we can hear our prelude.
more full of love. Come into this place of radical welcome where we are held by tradition and story, where we are changed and transformed by the joining of our shared lives. Come into this place of light, where the mirrors of dignity and worth bring us back to our own souls. May we each see reflected in the glow of love in this sacred space our own inner truth. Until we all know that we are home, we belong here in this place. Come, let us worship together.
One more brief announcement. After the service, there's a committee fair downstairs. You can learn about different things we're doing and perhaps join it. And also there's going to be a drumming circle. And if you want to drum or work on some percussion, you're welcome to do that. Mark will light our chalice today. One second here. So I invite everyone to rise in body and spirit as we light the chalice. And please remain standing for our first hymn we have gathered, which is number 360 in the gray hymnal. If you actually read the words in the hymnal, you'll see that we've changed some of the words in the second, verse to make it more gender inclusive. So please say the words with me. We light our chalice for all who are here and all who are not, for all who have entered our doors, for those who may yet find a spiritual home, and for those we can't yet imagine. For each of us and for all of us, may this flame burn warm and bright.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jessica, and I'm the Director of Faith Development and Community Engagement. And I've been thinking about this idea of welcome and how we say that everyone's welcome here. And I'm guessing for all of us, we have moments where we really don't feel welcome or don't feel like we belong. You are all welcome to come closer if you'd like to see the story. I know, maybe, I'm guessing if you don't have gray hair, you might walk in here and think, uh-oh, is this a place for me? Or maybe there's other ways that you feel like maybe you don't belong. And for me, getting to actually meet people and share stories and get to know who each and every one of you is really makes me feel welcome and feel like I belong. And our story this morning speaks to that feeling of not knowing if this is your place, but then slowly and surely getting to share who you are and getting to know and appreciate one another. So I actually started the year with this book, The Day You Begin by Jacqueline Woodson. And hopefully for those of you who've been around, or maybe if it's your first service, you've started to share, or you will start to share stories. Tonight we have a community dinner at 5, and that's a nice time to get to know one another. Jacqueline Woodson, illustrated by Rafael Lopez, The Day You Begin. I wonder if anybody remembers this story. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you. Have you all felt that when you come here, maybe? Or other places? Maybe it will be your skin or your clothes or the curl of your hair. There will be times when no one understands the way the words curl from your mouth, the beautiful language of the country you left behind. My name is Rigoberto. We just moved here from Venezuela. And because they don't understand, the classroom or the great hall or wherever you are will fill with laughter until the teacher quiets everyone. Rigoberto from Venezuela, your teacher says, so soft and beautifully that your name and homeland sound like flowers blooming, the first bright notes of a song. There will be times when the words don't come. Your own voice, once huge, now smaller, when the teacher says, "What did you do last summer? Tell the class your story." "We went to France," Shayla says. "These shells came from a beach in Maine." A boy named Jonathan holds out a jar filled with tiny shells, so fragile they look like they'll turn to dust in your own untraveled hands. My whole family went to India, Spain, South Carolina. Each souvenir a small triumph of a journey. Their travels going on and on. And as you stand in front of that room, you can only remember how the heat waved as it lifted off the curb, and your days spent at home caring for your little sister, who made you laugh out loud and hugged you hard at nap time. You can only remember the books you kept on reading long after she had fallen asleep. And in that room, where no one else is quite like you, you'll look down at your empty hands and wonder, what good is this when other students were flying and sailing and going somewhere? There will be times when the lunch your mother packed for you is too strange or too unfamiliar for others to love as you do. When even your own friend Nadia will wrinkle her nose and say, "What's in there anyway?" And you'll wonder how she doesn't see the rice beneath the meat and kimchi. You'll wonder why she doesn't remember that rice is the most popular food in the world. There will be times when the climbing bars are too high, the run is too fast and far, the game isn't one you can ever really play. "I don't want him on our team. You can watch. Maybe you can have a turn later." There will be times when the world feels like a place that you're standing all the way outside of. And all that stands beside you is your own brave self, steady as steel and ready, even though you don't yet know what you're ready for. There will be times when you walk into a room and no one there is quite like you until the day you begin to share your stories. My name is Angelina, and I spent my whole summer with my little sister. You could tell the class, your voice stronger than it was a minute ago. Reading books and telling stories, and even though we were right on our own block, it was like we got to go everywhere. Your name is like my sister's, Rigoberto says. Her name is Angelina too. And all at once, in the room where no one else is quite like you, the world opens itself up a little wider to make some space for you. This is the day you begin to find the places inside your laughter and your lunches, your books, your travel, and your stories, where every new friend has something a little like you and something else so fabulously not quite like you at all. And may we all find those places of connection and difference that bring us together.
Thank you, Jessica. So now we'll sing the children out as they go to religious education class. Well, now it's time for us to greet one another. Those of you in the Great Hall, you can wave to the people on Zoom, and if you're on Zoom, you're invited to turn on your videos and wave and say hello in the chat.
Good morning. I'm Janet Clark, a member of the Climate Action Group, fondly referred to as CAG, and this is the Social Justice Minute, which recognizes that our faith calls us powerfully to action on social justice and the environment. Microplastics are now found in our food, in bottled water, in our bodies and brains, in fetuses and placentas and breast milk. These particles do not break down and often contain chemicals that are hormonally active. They are in food that is stored or cooked in plastic and are small enough to pass through our skin from lotions and synthetic clothing. They have now been found in high concentrations in ultra-processed foods. Some of the ways they may impact human health are DNA damage, affecting cancer development, inflammation, cellular aging, and transgenerational health risks. That means our eggs and sperm cells can be altered. The contaminants in our bodies are now linked to early colon cancer, previously found mostly in older people, early onset diabetes and obesity, contamination of the brain associated with memory loss, lower quality and quantity of sperm cells affecting fertility. One source of microplastic exposure is through foods packaged in plastics. And you can reduce your exposure to microplastics by avoiding plastic food packaging. So today at the fair downstairs, COG members will be passing out a brochure that we have created. It lists 4 major food stores in this area and what products can be obtained in these stores that are packaged in glass instead of plastic, pushing back against the trend for more things in plastic by preferring glass. Also, this evening, CAG will show the powerful and well-done documentary called Plastic People tonight at 6:30 after the always wonderful community dinner. We were given life on earth, housed in this perfect and surely sacred form. In your transform your home, stand forward to fight this terrible intrusion and to rebuild your health.
This morning's Good morning. This morning's meditation comes to us from Lama Rod Owens, 7 Homecomings. It's a little bit longer than usual, so I invite you to sort of plan to go on a meditative journey. And as it is a bit longer, it also takes the place of this morning's reading. There are many ways to ground and center your bodies, and we have different ways of going about that. So I just invite you to take a moment and assume a posture that allows you to feel present in the moment. We begin by contemplating the first homecoming of the guide. Reflect on any being who's been a guide, a teacher, a mentor, an advisor, or an elder for you. Reflect on the beings in your life whom you've gone to for guidance and support. Reflect on the beings who express love and compassion for you. Imagine that you're inviting all of those beings into the space with you. Invite them to gather around you in a circle and say, welcome. Relax. Inhale. Exhale. And come home to be held by your guides. The second homecoming is your wisdom texts. Begin reflecting on any text that has helped you to deepen your wisdom. These texts can include any writing, books, teaching, sacred scriptures, quotes, social media memes, or any form of artistic expression like music, dance, visual art. Any texts that have helped you experience clarity, openness, love, and compassion are your sacred texts. Invite the essence of these texts into this sacred space. You can imagine that these texts are actually present, or you can have a sense that their essence is encircling you with your guides. Say welcome to your texts. Relax. Inhale. Exhale. And come home to being held by your wisdom texts. The third homecoming is community. Begin by reflecting about the communities, groups, and spaces where you experience love, or the feeling of being accepted and supported and being happy. Moreover, what are the communities and groups not only where you feel loved, but also where you feel as if you can love and return love back to others? Where do you feel safe to love? Where are you being loved? Invite those communities and groups into the space around you with your guides and your wisdom texts. And if you don't feel as if there's a space like that for you now, then you can invite the aspiration to be part of a loving space into this space as well. Say welcome to your communities. Relax. Inhale. Exhale. And come home to being held by your communities. The fourth homecoming is your ancestors. Begin by reflecting on those ancestors who have wanted the best for you, including wanting you to be happy and safe. You don't need to know who these ancestors are. All you have to do is contemplate that there have been those in your familial line who want you to be happy. Invite those beings into the circle as well. Also reflect on the lineages you feel connected to, like the lineage of your spiritual tradition, a tradition of art or activism. Invite your lineage into the circle as well. As you invite your ancestors, remember that you too are in the process of becoming an ancestor. As you invite your lineage, remember that you are in this moment a lineage holder. Say welcome to your ancestors and lineages. Relax. Inhale. Exhale. And come home to being held by your ancestors and lineages. The fifth homecoming is the earth. Begin by reflecting on the importance of the earth under you and how it sustains your life and the lives of countless beings. Reflect on the energy of the earth, which is the energy of sustainability, stability, and foundation. The earth also represents the ground of your experience. So coming home to the earth means touching the earth, acknowledging the earth, surrendering to the earth, and allowing it to hold you. And as it holds you, understanding that it is loving you as well. Invite the energy of the earth into the circle. Say welcome to the earth. Relax. Inhale. Exhale. And come home to being held by the earth. The sixth homecoming is silence. Begin by reflecting on the generosity of silence as something that helps you to have the space to be with yourself. Reflect on how important it is to lean into silence, allowing it to hold you. And reflect on how you can embrace silence as a friend or lover invested in your health and well-being. Silence helps you to understand how to use your language to benefit yourself and others. Allow the silence to be present and accept it. Invite silence into the circle. Say welcome to the silence. Relax. Inhale. Exhale. And come home to being held by the silence. Finally, the seventh homecoming is yourself. Begin by reflecting on your experiences of mind and body. Consider how your experiences are valuable, important, and crucial. Invite all the parts of yourself into your awareness, including the parts of yourself that seem too ugly or overwhelming. Embracing yourself as a homecoming means you make sure that you are showing up to being held by other homecomings. Allow yourself to be present. Say welcome to yourself. Relax. Inhale. Exhale. And come home to yourself. Embrace all of your homecomings. You can see your guides, communities, ancestors, and lineages as your benefactors. You draw inspiration to open and be more vulnerable from your wisdom texts. You remember that the earth is under your feet and that there is silence offering you the space to be with yourself. And then finally, there is yourself being held with this circle of care. Just sit in this circle and imagine that your benefactors are sending care and kindness into the circle. Try to feel that care in any way that feels appropriate. What does that care feel like? Just sit and connect to the care from your benefactors. Now imagine that your circle of benefactors begins to dissolve into white light, and gather that white light into your heart center. Rest your mind and relax. May you be at peace.
I don't know, it seems wrong to be talking right now. Thank you, Heather. That was, I haven't even heard her sermon yet, and I'm breathless. Our generosity makes everything we do possible and helps us to support organizations and movements in the greater community. Half of the proceeds of each week's offering support the Society's operating budget, and half are shared outside our walls. Will we get a list of those, I hope, on the screen? You can mail in a check, donate online, or put your contributions in one of the plates the ushers will pass. The offering will now be given and gratefully received.
So much can happen in a year. I say this as someone who recently lived through a lot of transition. Last May, I sold my home in Massachusetts and planned to move to New Hampshire. I had just begun working for our Unitarian Universalist Association while still serving the Winchester Unitarian Society as their minister. This is to say that a congregation I served for 9 years and I were deep in our process of saying goodbye to one another. This was a bittersweet time, and in itself, a lot to experience. And did I mention I was moving? This was supposed to be an easy move because for a while I owned both houses at the same time. Each time I made the 2-hour drive to Western New Hampshire, I loaded my car or rental van, so at the end of the process, I would just need to move the large, heavy things. An easy move was the theory anyway. When that final move came, things went well until the movers I hired to unload the truck ghosted me. When they didn't show when expected, I called, and they said they would be delayed. Throughout the day, they kept changing the arrival time, even confirming my address. By 9 in the evening, though, I had to accept that they were never coming. By then, I had unloaded most of the furniture myself onto the driveway. I just needed larger, stronger humans to get the furniture inside. That help came the next day through a same-day moving crew. Same-day reservations are very expensive, but you can save money by hiring a crew just starting out. So that's what I did. The crew that showed up called themselves the Young Bucks. At the time, it wasn't funny, but I now laugh at the memory of a beat-up car full of young people having just driven across various state lines. I would not describe any of them as bucks or maybe even high school graduates for that matter. They had no equipment and in general did not have tied shoelaces. Some of the bucks seem energized by numerous caffeine drinks or something stronger. Despite my exhaustion, I was under deadline to get the truck back to Massachusetts, so I joined the bucks in bringing my furniture inside. It was sheer chaos. I had to redirect the crew many times as they endangered fragile items with carelessness and goofy roughhousing, but everything was eventually inside, safe from the coming spring rain. Everything but Mary. You see, I have a large cement statue of Jesus' mother in my bedroom. The statue was paradoxically both too heavy and too fragile, with delicate features like her hands and face, for the young bucks to manage, so she remained in the driveway. Originally meant to be outdoors, it was okay for Mary to be Our Lady of the parking area for a while, until I could hire someone with the right tools and know-how. You might be wondering why I have a statue of Mary in my room, being Unitarian Universalist and not Catholic. One thing the young bucks learned that day is that my home has many churchy elements, such as a stained glass window hanging over a wooden pulpit turned plant table, which I got through FreeCycle. Being a minister, it makes sense that I would surround myself with the artistic trappings of congregational life, but this impulse to decorate my personal sanctuary like public ones, perhaps comes from a deeper place. When I was young, my parents and I did not go to church, but for a little bit over a year, we lived with my grandparents. And one expectation my grandparents had with this arrangement is that I go to their Catholic church. My grandparents were members at St. Casimir's, the Lithuanian parish. Attending Mass with my grandmother is one of my fondest childhood memories. I'd like to do a quick poll. Please raise your hand if you were brought up Catholic. That's what I thought. So many of our communities include people with early memories, like mine. However, even as an 8-year-old, I felt disconnected from the service. But I felt very connected to Grammy. This was one of the few times each week we did anything alone together. And I felt connected to the physical space. Perhaps it was my lack of interest in the Mass that moved me to pay closer attention to the stained glass, the statues of the saints from the old country, the Stations of the Cross on the wall, their captions in Lithuanian. At an early age, this gorgeous space and the special time with someone I loved taught me the nature of sacred space, so much so that while I loved the first congregation I served as a Unitarian Universalist minister, when it came time for my next ministry, I sought a community with a less modern, more traditional sanctuary, something more like St. Casimir's. I tell these stories as they are stories about transition, about rebuilding the place that we call home. You, the good people of Northampton and Florence, are perhaps in a similar place, as this is a liminal time seeking your next minister. As the congregation is forever created between the tides of members leaving through disaffiliation or moving away or death, and members arriving, seeking connections, inspiration, and opportunities to serve, one could say a congregation is always in transition. By the time of letting go of one ministry and opening up to the next is a vulnerable time. From my time with you as primary contact to the New England region, I know members had very different experiences of past ministries, perhaps making this search for the next minister one with a number of different feelings, renewed grief and anxiety and excitement, and so much more. Like my difficult move, this community is in a time of spiritually moving house, its inhabitants wanting to protect what is most valuable and revisiting how it all fits together. Metaphor is a primary language for us preachers. As you consider this time in your shared life together, this reassembly of your home, by which I mean the reassembly of your relationships with one another and your relationship with the office of minister, I invite you to consider another metaphor, that of windows and mirrors. A member of the congregation I served in Maryland once shared an idea by educator Emily Stile. The understanding that all children need windows and mirrors in their environment to thrive. Children need windows, elements that allow them to experience a different world and, through recognition of that difference, to learn more about what it means to be human. They also need mirrors, elements that anchor them, that reflect their life experience, their identity, their needs, their questions, tangible signs of not only existing, but belonging in community, belonging in that physical space. Thinking back to my early experiences at St. Casimir's, I am grateful for all the windows I received. Before those masses, I did not know what worship was. My understanding of art was limited to secular museums. St. Casimir's created community in a different way than home and school and play. And yet, perhaps one reason I'm not a Catholic today is there were not enough mirrors, not enough experiences that said to a young girl who had just moved for the very first time that despite her confusion and uncertainty, loving homes can be rebuilt in another way. Time with my grandmother tended to my loneliness, but I don't remember anything in the service that gave me a sense of belonging. When I think of windows and mirrors in congregational life, I think also of Nadia Bolz-Weber, a Lutheran minister. Bolz-Weber did not grow up Catholic, but in another very fundamentalist tradition, so strict that church moms could not teach 12-year-old boys because they believed it was dangerous for women to teach men. Many of the lessons for girls like Nadia were about purity and meekness, but Nadia had a strong personality and many religious questions. Here's another poll. Please raise your hand if you too had a strong personality or many questions as a child. That's, again, what I thought. As an adult, Bolz-Weber developed a serious drug and alcohol addiction to cope with early life experiences. In time, she found sobriety, plus a spiritual home in the Lutheran Church, which led to a call to ministry. The only problem was, despite her still curious and critical mind, Nadia Bolz-Weber was a tall, muscular woman with a wild haircut and sleeve tattoos. Recognizing she was not an easy match for a mainstream Lutheran congregation, Bolz-Weber began gathering people in her living room for worship services for outsiders like herself. This was the beginning of House for All Sinners and Saints, a church that kept growing as more and more people who felt outside the circle of Christian worship found themselves reflected in their liturgy and community: addicts and activists, people experiencing homelessness, drag queens. House for All Sinners and Saints faced what Nadia Bolz-Weber called a crisis when she preached an Easter sermon in a large arena, and the service was covered by the city paper. Many learned of their little church, inspiring them to come from their leafy suburbs to try it out. Her congregation of outcasts was then overwhelmed with middle-class professionals, the very people her members often felt alienated from. This was, for her, a problem. But then she began to hear stories from her longer-time members, people like a transgender teenager who said he could no longer be in relationship with his father, but found paternal care from some of the newcomers at church. "You taught us radical welcome," the members said, "so we need to welcome these people too." In the end, Nadia Bolz-Weber concluded that her unique, some might even say boutique congregation, was not ruined, but became stranger still, with people from all walks of life joining together in worship and community and service. They had become a congregation rich with windows and mirrors for the whole region, and they drew people hungering to experience and sustain such a countercultural space. For it is not just children who need windows and mirrors. When I served as a parish minister, I gave up trying to meet everyone's needs in worship, finding the task impossible. My goal was instead to help create an experience that most people enjoyed about 75% of the time. The more challenging goal was to foster a culture where everyone was aware of this guide and embraced it, knowing that the last 25% fed someone else's soul, and that in itself was satisfying. I longed to co-create a community where its members felt a profound sense of belonging, while also feeling a profound call to make others feel as if they belonged too. An authentic hunger for windows into another person's world. Earlier, we participated in the 7 Homecomings meditation. Knowing the diverse life experiences we carry into this space, I can only imagine the different ancestors, texts, mentors, communities we invoke together. These life-giving entities are always in sacred space when people gather. As a minister, it is a gift to regularly be in the presence of so much life. And one thing I love about my role with the UUA is how often I get to visit empty sanctuaries. While absent of human life in the moment, when I step into a dark sanctuary, I sense the generations of sermons preached, children welcomed, hymns sung, marriages made, and lives remembered. Sanctuaries have, as comedian Mae Martin once said of theaters, an energetic echo that is palpable and beautiful. One sanctuary that has been empty for a long time is St. Casimir's. Eventually, Lithuanian immigrants stopped settling in the area, and members' children and grandchildren wandered away from the faith. The diocese merged the parish with the Irish church, St. Patrick's. By then, my grandfather had died, and my grandmother didn't want to go to a new church, content to attend Mass on cable television in her living room. I don't know enough about St. Casimir's to know the full story of their closing, but I believe all faith communities who seek to live deep into their mission are well served by creating as many mirrors as they can for those who long for transformative spiritual community, and by seeing every window, everything not for them, as something that still serves them as a catalyst to deeper understanding. For in my experience of the divine, the sacred can hold all of us. A sanctuary is just a symbol of that boundless vessel. So as you seek your next minister, I encourage you to find someone who can help foster such a space to house a community of communities, as UU leader Paula Cole-Jones often says. This depends on how much we can name our expectations for what we need, while we, with equal passion, advocate for the needs of others. No one minister, no one person can do this alone. It takes a whole house to make windows and mirrors possible. So much can happen in a year. My statue of Mary has finally made it indoors. After many months of moving and unpacking, my house is put together. I still have things to fix and to paint, but the place I call home is now assembled. There are things I miss about my old house and my old life, and what I have created grounds me daily and brings me joy. I close by reminding us that the final step of moving into my new home was not completed by skilled professionals, just me and the young bucks, a group of tired, imperfect people trying to make something happen. Making a spiritual home is hard work. Perfection is unrealistic, and elegance is not guaranteed. But if we bring a sense of humor and joy and commitment to one another, creating something beautiful is possible. I wish you well as you create your new home together.
View, and I'm looking at 4 people up there working hard to make sure the sound is right, the slides are right, making sure it works on Zoom. So thank you. And there's a couple more of you online doing some more tech work. I think we can use some more help if you want to volunteer, and let me know. So please rise for our closing hymn, and please remain standing for the closing words. We'll sing Love Will Guide Us, number 131.
Do you want me to sing a song first?
Oh, we have another song?
We have another song.
Let's go, Ellen.
An engraved invitation. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn.
and a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time for hate, a time of war, a time for peace, a time you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. To everything turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rent, a time to sow, a time of love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late.
And if you ever get a chance to come up here, maybe you'll be able to do without making mistakes like I do. All you have to do is join the worship committee. Come see me. We can use a few more people. Okay, please rise for the closing hymn. Love will guide us, number 131, and please remain standing for the closing words.
May we leave this place with love ever as our guide, guiding us to find more places that serve as sanctuaries of the heart, guiding us to return once again to make this place home for even more seeking sanctuaries for the Spirit. Love is at the center, and the center is everywhere. Go forth with your gifts, and may you too know love's blessing. Go in peace. Amen. Please be seated.